This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Baruch Haba, welcome everyone. Parshas Beshalach. Mirz Hashem, tomorrow is a big day. We're moving tomorrow. It's a lot of work. So, but the way I like to prepare for a move is I prepare the shiur. So at least the shiur happened. I'm not sure how the move is going to happen. But if you made it here tonight, you must have tremendous chusim because the material we're going to learn are Dvarim Ha'imdim Berumay Shalaylam. Amazing material. We begin with the Chassam Sofer's question. This week's Parsha, the Shira, Kriyas Yamsuf, and the introductory pasuk to Kriyas Yamsuf is Vayar Yisrael es Hayod Hagadola. And Yisrael saw the great hand. Literally, Yisrael refers to the Jewish people. However, the Zohar HaKadosh says, who's Yisrael? Yisrael refers to Yisrael Saba, refers to Yaakov Avinu. Vayar Yisrael, that Yaakov Avinu saw Kriyas Yamsuf. Vayar Yisrael, another Yaakov Avinu himself sees Kriyas Yamsuf. Ibn Shalom takes Yaakov Avinu, he puts him, so to speak, in the press box. He says, Yaakov Avinu, get a good look. Look at Kriyas Yamsuf. And the Chassam Sofer is bothered. What do you mean, Yaakov Avinu? And not Avram Avinu, and not Yitzchak Avinu? Didn't all the Avos see the miracles of Mitzrayim? There's a pasuk in Tehillim. Neged Avoisam Asu Fela. That Hashem took all the Avos, and He gave them all box seats to witness all the events of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So why is the Zohar HaKadosh picking on Yaakov Avinu? What about Abraham? What about Yitzchak? Why only Yaakov Vayar Yisrael? Okay. One of the well-known psukim of the Shira, Azi V'Zimras Ka, Vayhili Shua, Zeh, Keli V'Yanveh. Whenever you see the word Zeh, Zeh means they're Moira Be'etzba, they point with their finger, Zeh Keli V'Yanveh Elokei Avi V'Aroi Mimenu. Says Rashi, B'chvoidoi Nigla Aleihem. Hashem revealed Himself in all of His honor. V'Hayumarin Oisoi Be'etzba. They pointed to Rebbe Hashem with their finger. That's a very clear vision of Hashem. That to be able to point to Rebbe Hashem, Hashem was Einoi Nira. That means there was a very clear awareness of the Rebbe Hashem. Were they able to be Moira Be'etzba? Says Rashi, the famous words of Chazal, but a little different perhaps than you're used to. Ra'asa Shivcha al Hayam Ma Shaloi Ro Neviim. A maidservant at the sea saw even what the Neviim did not see. Now, first of all, what do we care about what the maidservant saw? Since when is the Torah a record of the awareness of God of maidservants? Since when do we care about the cleaning ladies? And cleaning ladies could be very important, but it's not like the Torah is giving you report about what level of awareness of Hashem the cleaning ladies achieve. Why do we care? Why is it important about the Shivcha? And probably you're familiar with a different version of this Chazal, right? Rashi says, Ras or Shivcha Layam, Ma Shaloi Ro Neviim, the prophets, what the prophets didn't see. In fact, Rashi comes from the Mechilta. The Mechilta says, right, you know what the Mechilta is? The Mechilta is the Torah Shabbat Peh on Sefer Shemais. The Mechilta says, Ras or Shivcha Layam, Ma Shaloi Ro Yechezkel, V'shar Neviim, V'chol Shar Neviim. In other words, it says in Mechilta, what a Shivcha saw on the sea was greater than Yechezkel and the rest of the Nevi'im. So somehow, it's important to point out that what a Shivcha saw was greater than Yechezkel. Why are we picking on Yechezkel? Why are we mentioning Yechezkel? That the Shivcha saw what Yechezkel did not see. Why not Yeshaya? Why not Yirmiyah? Why not Zechariah? Why not Ovadia? Why are we picking on Yechezkel? Yechezkel, V'chein Shar Nevi'im. In fact, many of the Ma'amorei Chazal quote this Ma'amor Chazal, and they just say Yechezkel, and they completely drop out Shar Nevi'im. So, for example, if you look in the, there's a sefer called Michlal Ma'amorim Upiskamim, which is a collection of various statements of Chazal. So here they have this statement of Chazal, Ra so Shivcha Layam Ma Shaloi Ra, just Yechezkel. Forget about the Shar Nevi'im. Just Yechezkel. Also, when Tosfos quotes down this Ma'amor Chazal, Tosfos brings down Kol echad ve'echad mehem hayamara be'etzboi v'oimrin zekeli v'yanveu amru Chazal Ra asa shivcha hayam ma shaloi ra Yechezkel ben Buzi. That's the Chazal that most of us are familiar with. And the question is, why are we picking on Yechezkel ben Buzi? That the Shivcha saw even what Yechezkel ben Buzi did not see. Okay, so we come to Parshas Beshalach. The heat is very strong. Yeah. We have 3 psukim in this week's Parsha that not only we have one pasuk, which is an amazing pasuk, an astounding pasuk, we have 3 consecutive psukim that share the same phenomenon, the same feature, and that is this week's Parsha as an introduction to Shiur Hayam. You have 3 psukim that have 72 letters. Okay, we began to speak about this, if you remember, the night of before Hoshana Rabbah. So now we're going to take it a step further. We have 3 psukim in this week's Parsha that have 72 letters. You have Vayisa Malach Elakim number 7, HaHoylech L'Snei Machane Yisrael. The Malach of Hashem that would go before Klal Yisrael went behind them, and the Amud HaAnon went before them, that went before them stood behind them. So that's pasuk A that has 72 letters. Then pasuk Chaf. Vayavoy ben Machane Mitzrayim uvein Machane Yisrael. Again, another pasuk, like Karav Zel Zeh, another pasuk, 72 letters. And then finally, pasuk Chaf Aleph, Vayet Moshe Es Yadoi, 72 letters, right? Haloi Davar, who it's not coincidental, they have 3 consecutive psukim, 72 letters, 72 letters, 72 letters. Comes Rashi, in Masechta Sukkah, Daf Mem Hey, a landmark Rashi. Says Rashi, there's no coincidence. Rashi is going on the Mishnah. We know on Sukkot, when they would go around the Mizbeach, they would chant, Ani, V'hoi, Hoshiana. And even we, right, when we do the Hoshiana, say, Ani, V'hoi, Hoshiana, everyone's going, Ani, V'hoi, Hoshiana, Rabbi. So what in the world are you talking about? Ani should help you. Ani should help you. Hoi should help you. Hoi, please, Hoi, help me. Who's Ani? Who's Hoi? What's this all about? Says Rashi, the key to understanding this tefillah are the 3 psukim in Parshas Beshalach, 3 consecutive psukim, 72, 72, 72. Says Rashi, we know there's a concept that the Rebbe Hashem has a Shem HaMefarish, an explicit name that's 72 letters. Well, says Rashi, these 3 psukim in Parshas Beshalach comprise 72 different names of Hashem. 70, I know a Rav who has 6 names. He gets called up to the Torah. Yamoid, whatever, I'm not going to say what it is, you might figure it out. He has 6 names, that's a lot of names. The Rebbe Hashem has at least 72 names that mention this week's Parsha. What's the formula? Says Rashi, an amazing formula. You take the first letter of the first pasuk, you take the last letter of the second pasuk, you take the first letter of the third pasuk. So the first letter of the first pasuk is a Vav, Vayisa. You take the last letter of the second pasuk is a Hey, and you take the first letter of the third pasuk is a Vav, Vav, Hey, Vav. What's that? V'hoi. V'hoi. You take the next name of Hashem. You take the second letter of the first pasuk, the second to last of the second of the third. That's Yud Lamed Yud. So on number 9 on your sheet, you have a chart of the 72 different names of Hashem. So the first name of Hashem is V'hoi. The 37th name of Hashem is Ani. So you take the 37th letter of the first pasuk, the 37th to last of the second pasuk, the 37th of the third. Lo and behold, you look on the chart, Lamed Zayin, name 37, Ani. V'hoi and Ani are 2 names of Hashem. Name 1 and name 37 respectively. So how many names of Hashem could are found in these 3 psukim? 72 different names. 1, right? 1, 72, 1. 2, 71, 2. 3, 73. 4, 69, 4. 5, got it? That's the formula. First, last, first. That's the formula of Rashi. Where does Rashi get this from? He doesn't say. Rashi just says it. Comes the Reikeach, and this already is something we've never mentioned. Says the Reikeach, in these 3 psukim you could find every single letter of the Aleph Beis with the exception of 1 letter. There is no Gimel in any of these 3 psukim, right? You'd see. You won't find the Gimel. You found the Gimel? No. Now somebody said this morning, test. No, there's a test there. Every single letter applies, is found, except for a Gimel. Why is there no Gimel in these 3 psukim? Says the Reikeach, it's to teach you that you need to use a 3-part formula. 1, first, last, first. The absence of the Gimel indicates you need to use a formula of 3 to make the 72 different names. Then he says another remez that says in Masechta Chagiga that you can't be doiresh ma'aser merkava to 3. Right? So that's why there's no Gimel in these 3 psukim. Okay. Question is, there's 72 different names of Hashem. Why are we picking on name 1 and name 37. It seems pretty random, especially in light of the fact we start with name 37, Ani, and we go to name 1, Vahai. So Tosfos says, well, the word Ani is a name of Hashem which is seen and understood by the Navi Yecheskel. If you take a look in number 42, we're jumping to number 42. Don't be alarmed, okay? Going to number 42. Sefer Yecheskel begins. Vayhi b'shloishim shana, was in the 30th year. Baravi, b'chamish al-chodesh, v'ani b'soich ha'goyla, and I was in the Golos. Says Tosfos, v'ani is a reference to God. God, so to speak, is in Golos together with us. So v'ani we see is a prominent name of Hashem. And Tosfos says, v'hu is also a prominent name of Hashem found in Sefer Yirmiyahu. And therefore that is why the tefillah of Ani v'hoi picks up on these two names of Hashem. By the way, we're going to see the first pasuk in Yecheskel has how many letters? 72 letters. How do you know? 72 letters. Okay? So now we're learning there are 72 names of Hashem. Name number 1 is Vahoi. Name number 37 is Ani. By the way, the Vilna Gaon in the beginning of Shir HaShirim explains a little differently, and you need to remember this. It's not on the sheet, but I'm sure you remember from a Cholamayit Sukkos, but just to refresh your memory, if you don't remember, the Gaon says like this. If there are 72 names of Hashem, how many groups are there? How many groups of 2? 72 divided by 2. 36. You have 1 to 36, 37 to 72. So that means, who are the 2 leaders of the 2 groups? Vahoi and Ani. Vahoi is the leader of the first group, and Ani is the leader of the second group. That is why we pick these 2 names. These are the 2 chapter headings, the Kaiseres. These are the 2, not the Hachtara, it's the same Shairesh. Kaiseres is the crown, the Ani and Vahoi. Vahoi is the leader of group 1, Ani is the leader of group 2. So this is the Chiddush of Rashi. Rashi is revealing to us that the 3 psukim in this week's Parsha, from these 3 psukim we learn 72 different names of Hashem, and the formula is first, last, first. Okay? Comes the Ramban. The Ramban says in his Hakdama to Chumash, look at number 12. Says Ramban is an introduction to Chumash. Oid yesh bi'adenu Kabbalah shalemes, we have a true tradition that even though the Torah seems like a book of laws and a book of stories, nevertheless we have a tradition, a Kabbalah shalemes, that the Torah is really names of Hashem, Shemos of Hashem. Says the Ramban, because even though the way we read the pasuk is Bereshis Bar Elokim, there are infinite ways of breaking up the letters. For example, says Ramban, instead of reading it Bereshis Bar Elokim, we're going to read it Bereish Yispara Elokim. At first, God created. There are many ways of breaking it up, but really, the true Torah are various names of Hashem. It's just we don't have access to it, so we read it as story, as episode, as narrative. But the true meaning of the Torah are names of Hashem. Says the Ramban, for example, look on the 4th line in number 12. Look, Kasav Rabbeinu Shloimeh. Rabbeinu Shloimeh already wrote the Perush of Talmud, his commentary to Shas, how you have the 72 letter name of Hashem from the Psukim, Vayisa, Vayavai, Vayet. Which Rabbeinu Shloimeh is the Ramban referring to? Rashi. Ramban says, where do I get this from? This is based on Rashi. Rashi in Masechta Sukkah already reveals to us that the 72 letter name of Hashem is revealed in the 3 Psukim back to back to back. Right? 72, 72, 72. Together, 216. Says Ramban, that's why, if a Sefer Torah is missing a Vav, or missing a Yud, Sefer Torah is Pasul. So why should Sefer Torah be Pasul? The story is the same. Avram Avinu had 3 Malachim, with the Vav, without the Vav. Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai with the Yud, without the Yud. Who cares if there's a Yud or not a Yud? The answer is to the narrative or to the halacha, it makes no difference. But to the shemos of Hashem that are alluded to, if you're missing the Yud, you're missing the Vav, it throws off the whole system. That's why a Sefer Torah must be perfect. The Ramban then, okay, says the Ramban, look at number 13, says the Ramban, this is in his Sefer Torah Hashem Temima, says the Ramban, it is well known from the Psukim, Vayisa, Vayavai, Vayet, is a 72 letter name of Hashem. What do you do with the 72 letter name of Hashem? Says Ramban, Shaboy Mishtamshin Chasidei Hadoirois Hayeduim Oisoi. that all the various righteous people of generations, all the tzaddikim, all the chasidim, how were they able to perform miracles, to change nature? They utilized the 72 names of Hashem. What could they do with it? Lahamis, ulahachayos. They could take away life. They could give life. Lintosh, the linsites, lahavid, laharos. They could destroy, livnois v'lintaya, or they could build. Contractor takes 6 months. But if you know how to use the Shemos of Hashem, right away, instantaneous. It's using the tools of creation. Okay. So what are we going to do today? Rabbi Sai, with your permission, we're going to try to gain at least a touch, a little taste, a little te'ima ba'alma of some of the meaning of the 72 names of Hashem. How could we pursue, how could we endeavor to do such a thing? This is a Rashi in Shas. Rashi is Megala to us. Rashi doesn't say don't tell anybody that. So Rashi is on the page. So let's try to understand a little bit. In fact, in the Sharei Oira of Rabbi Yosef Giktilia, he tells us something very important. Rabbi Yosef Giktilia was one of the great Mekubalim in the generation of the Beis Yosef. And he says the following. He says that it is important for a person, he says on the second line, number 14, a person should try with all of his energy to understand the meaning of the names of Hashem. Ekya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Adnos, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, Kel, Eloika, El. We just daven Baruch Atah Hashem, Shakai, Tzvakos, Elokim. What's the difference? God is God. No. You need to know the nuance of difference of all the various names of Hashem. And don't just try. Don't just try. When I have a few minutes, I'll open up. Don't try. You have to try b'chol koichai, with all of your energy. With all of your energy. With every ounce of energy you need to try to understand the meaning of Hashem's name. He says like this. Each one of these shemos is a key to something else in this world. If a person understands even one of these shemos, he'll understand kol ha-Torah kula. You'll understand Yakir v'yedeh gedulas mi sha'amar v'hoya ha'olam. By understanding the meaning of Hashem's name, you'll understand the greatness of Hashem. And then he says something very powerful. V'yivchad v'yira milfanav. You'll fear Hashem. V'yishtoikek. You'll long. You'll desire. V'yisavel. You'll have passion. L'hidabek b'shem. To cling to Hashem. So I wonder, how come, I get home from work, and I'm very hungry, and the whole day I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for supper. There are people like that, right? What am I going to eat for supper? How come I'm not thinking, when am I going to be able to daven already? You ever think about it? You ever have a feeling, when am I going to daven already? You ever have an urge to talk to Hashem? So why not? Says Rabbi Yosef Giktilia, if you would spend time trying to understand with all of your energy the meaning of Hashem's name, you will develop a longing to cling to Hashem. And then he says an amazing thing. We say every Matzai Shabbos the pasuk, Asagivehu ki yada shemi yikraini ve'aneu. Says Rabbi Hashem, I will elevate you ki yada shemi, because you know my name. Yikraini, you will call out to me ve'aneu, and I will answer. Wow, that's a pretty good benefit. Hashem says, I will elevate you, and I will answer your tefillah. Who doesn't want to be elevated? And who doesn't want to have their tefillahs answered? Well, what's the key? Ki yada shemi. You have to know my name. Says Rabbi Yosef Giktilia. It doesn't mean you need to say my name. It doesn't do me any good, says God. Baruch atah Hashem, Baruch atah Hashem, Baruch atah Hashem, Baruch atah Hashem. Remember, you ever in elementary, you ever get in trouble? And they give you a composition. So, I will not, I will not. So how do you do it? Remember? Train tracks, right? No, you never got in trouble. But I know people who have had to write assignments, right? So you write I, and then you write the line all the way down, you just go da 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 da, right? Will, no, you don't know. Will, the L is one line down. The Berachas HaShachar are not supposed to say, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. No, the purpose is not to say Hashem, it's to know the meaning of Hashem's name. So what we're going to try to understand a little bit is what exactly is the 72-letter name of Hashem. Donnie, you asked me 6 months ago, right? I got you last time. You have to be careful what you ask for, right? Say that. Fine. Comes the Shalach Kodesh. The Shalach Kodesh says 72 letters. What's the four? You're never going to hear the end of it. What's the 4-letter name of Hashem? What's the 4-letter name of Hashem? Yud Kei Vav Kei. Isn't that enough? What do you need 72 letters for? So the Shalach says something very interesting. From the Yud Kei Vav Kei, there are actually 3 ways to get 72. What are they? There are 3 systems. One is Bimiluai. Right? There's a system of gematria, Bimiluai. So Yud Kei Vav Kei, we're going to spell Yud, Vav, Daled. Yud, Vav, Daled is 20. Hey Yud, 15, 35. Vav, Yud, Vav. That's what? 22. Hey Yud, 15, 72. If you write out Yud Kei Vav Kei, Bimiluai, Yud, Vav, Daled, Hey Yud, Vav, Yud, Vav, K, the K is Hey Yud, 72. That's one way to get 72 from Yud Kei Vav. Way number 2. There's a system of gematria, I don't think I dubbed it, the Nachman Meuman system. You ever see the bumper stickers? Nachman Meuman. What in the world is that? I have no idea, but that's a mashal to me of a system of gematria. For example, you take the first letter, you take the first 2, you take the first 3, you take the first 4. So example, let's take the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud plus Yud Kei plus Yud Kei Vav plus Yud Kei Vav Kei, 72. It's a certain system. By the way, the Mizrahi, on the words in Sefer Devarim, Ba'ar Heitev, Rashi says, Shivim L'shoinos, he uses a system. You take Heitev, hey, and you do Nachman to the word Heitev, you get 70. It's a system already mentioned in the Rishonim. So that's the second way to get 72. The third way, I'll leave for you for homework. I don't fully understand it. But the Shlosh says that the 72-letter name of Hashem emerges from Yud Kei Vav Kei. So again, one way is Bimiluai, Yud Kei Vav Kei. You write out the Yud, Vav Daled, Hey Yud, right? And the other way is the Yud plus the Yud Hey plus the Yud Kei Vav plus the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Comes the Chizkuni, and the Chizkuni says, and he's bothered, what in the world is Hashem's 72-letter name doing in this week's Parsha? Like, why in this week's Parsha? Why not in last week's Parsha? It's not my first Shabbos here. My first Shabbos Parshas Va'era. It should have been Parshas Va'era. Well, why Parshas Beshalach? Says the Chizkuni, you know what's doing Parshas Beshalach? Says the Chizkuni, Uboy Kara Moshe es Hayam. Moshe split the Yam with the 72-letter name of Hashem. Oh. I thought Moshe split it with his stick, with his staff. No. Says the Chizkuni, Uboy Kara Moshe Sam. He split it with the Yam. And since Moshe Rabbeinu gained control over water with the 72-letter name of Hashem, so on Hoshana Rabbah, when we're davening for water, what better way than to daven with the 72-letter name of Hashem? And what represents the 72-letter name of Hashem? Ani V'hai. Ani is the beginning of the second group, and V'hai is the beginning of the first group. Rabbeinu B'chai comes Rabbeinu B'chai. He says, Adavar Oyom V'noira. Says Rabbeinu B'chai, let's go back to Parshas Chayei Sarah. So Eliezer is looking for shidduch for Rivka, and all the other times people draw water, the pasuk says Vatishav, and by Rivka it says Vatered ha'ayno vatimole. Vatered ha'ayno vatimole. Says Rabbeinu B'chai, unbelievable. Do you know what the Rashi Tevos of Vatered ha'ayno vatimole are? Vav, hey, Vav, V'hai. She used the word V'hai to get the water. Why? That's the only way to get control over the water. You need V'hai. And says Rebbeinu Shalom to Rivka, you gained control over the water with Vatered ha'ayno vatimole V'hai. Masayavoy simin labanim. When Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Yam Suf, he's also going to use Ani V'hai to gain control over the Yam Suf. Says Rabbeinu B'chaye, how did Moshe Rabbeinu use Ani V'hai? On the Mateh of Moshe Rabbeinu appeared all 72 names of Hashem. So by the way, if you want, I took a picture of it. If you want to know what Moshe Rabbeinu's Mateh looked like, take a look at number 39, the Rokeach, in his commentary to the Siddur. The chart of number 9 was actually the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu. Rashi in Pirkei Avos, if I'm not mistaken, says what it said on his staff was Yud Kei Vav Kei. Rabbeinu Bechaye and the Rokach says the 72 names of Hashem. By the way, name number 50 is a name that I like. Name number 50. The 50 is Shar Nun. Name number 50. I always wonder why people called me that. Okay, now it's a holy name, right? So, says the Rokach, says Rabbeinu Bechaye, the Mate of Moshe Rabbeinu had all 72 different names of Hashem. All 72 different names of Hashem. So I was thinking, the Rebbe Shalom gave me a big matana. The first time V'hai was used, who benefited from it? A regular Jew? No. An Eved. What the Eved got with that name, even other Nevi'im never got. That's what Rashi says. Remember, Rashi brings down, the story of Eliezer appears, and it appears 2 times. Rashi says the words of Chazal, Yafes sichasan shel avdei avos yoser mitarasa shel banim. Look how great Eliezer is. We tell over his story, and we repeat it twice. That means who's making use of the 72-letter name of Hashem? An Eved. So maybe that's also Masei Avos Simel Banim, Ra Shivcha Al Hayam, Mashaloi Ra Yecheskel Ben Buzi. Just like the Eved Eliezer benefited from the 72-letter name of Hashem, so too, that's why Chazal point out that the Shivcha reached a very high level. Well, what do we care about the Shivcha? The answer is, the story always repeats itself. This is, the original pre-enactment was Eliezer benefiting from the water drawn by Rivka, Va Tered Ha'aina Vatimale, and then the fruition of that, the fruition of the Maseh Avos Simel Banim was Ra Shivcha Al Hayam Mashaloi Ra Yecheskel Ben Buzi. But then the Rebbe Shalom had even more Rachmanas Ami, and maybe this is a pshat. Kasha Zivuga Shal Adam Kakriyas Yamsov. Right? Everybody knows there's a parallel, there's a connection between the making of a shidduch and Kriyas Yamsov. Right? The Gemara in Saita on Daf Beis, the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Kasha Zivuga Shal Adam Kriyas Yamsov. How do Chazal know that it's as hard to make a zivug as it is to split the yam? What do zivugim have to do with Kriyas Yamsov? The answer is, it's very simple. What was the first zivug? What was the first incident, an episode of a shidduch in the Chumash? Eliezer and Rivka. How did she make it? How did she do it? With the Shemais, Ani v'Hai. So too, that's how Moshe Rabbeinu split the Yamsuf. It was the same act. Rabbeinu Bechaye says, the zivug of Yitzchak, of Eliezer and Rivka was Masei Avos Simon Labanim to Kriyas Yamsuf. So Kasha Zivugoy Shaladam to Kriyas Yamsuf. Okay. Comes the Baal HaTurim, and the Baal HaTurim also mentions this idea that the Yamsuf split with this shame of V'hai, because Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, take your stick, Uvika'ehu. Says the Baal HaTurim, it could also be read, look at number 20, Bika'ehu, Bika'uhu, says the Baal HaTurim, Baka V'hai. It split with the shame V'hai. Also another remez, another proof that the Yamsuf split with these shemos. The Shla HaKadosh also mentions this idea, that it split with 72, 72, 72, 216, B'Gematria Aryeh, and the Maharal mentions in the Beragoyla, and the Vilna Gaon, in his commentary to the Tikkunei Zayar, the Yahel Ar, says an amazing thing. What do we call Kriyas Yamsuf? Boikei Boikeya. What in the world does Boikeya mean? Why Boikeya? It should say Cholek, to split. What's Boikeya? Says the Gaon. Boikeya also a remez to the Shem Ayin Beis. Beis in the beginning, Ayin at the end. Boikeya. Beis, Ayin, 72. And I got in the Leshem also. Okay? Leshem says the same thing. That Kriyas Yamsuf was the Shem Ayin Beis, and he elaborates that Ayin Sham. Okay. What I was bothered by was the system of Rashi. You have 3 consecutive psukim of 72, 72, 72, and Rashi reveals to us the system is what? First, last, first. Second, second to last, second. What kind of system is that? Now you tell somebody, this is how it works. First, last, first. Seems random. Seems random. By the way, just have a quote over here. All the Mekubalim say this system has a name. It's called Yosher Hipuch, Yosher. Okay? It's a system. It's a formula. What kind of formula is that? I mean, if you were doing this, if I was doing it, I would do 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. What kind of system is it? First, last, first. And you should know there are Rishonim that argue on Rashi. And their system is first, 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 second, 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 third, third. So what about Ani V'hai? It still works out Ani V'hai. Ani would still be named 37. Either way, if there's 72, 37 is the middle one. So however the formula is Ani. And V'hai would be number 49. In fact, there's a sefer called Imrei Shefer by Maram Chalava, one of the Achronim, famous Kadmonim Amsechta Psachim. And he says, everybody knows you have 3 consecutive psukim in this week's Parsha of 72 letters. And there are 72 different names of Hashem you could make. And there are 2 formulas you could use. He says on the 3rd line, Yesh she'oisen tziruf me'ha'oisiyos harishaynos keseder ha'psukim. Some do it in order. In other words, how would you do it in order? Let's look back at the psukim. Look at number 7. The vav, and the vav. The first, the first, the first. And then the yud, and the yud, and the yud. And then, right, so that's another legitimate way of making the formula. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. And that would be seemingly the logical way. And then he brings down, and some do it the other way, right? If you have number 28 is the chart of the 72 names of Hashem, if you do the formula, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. And then he brings down, some do the formula backward, like Rashi says, meaning Ani would be 37, and V'hai would be the first one. But actually he says V'hai, we're not referring to the first V'hai, we're referring to the V'hai, which is number 49. And he says that is why in the first pasuk in Sefer Yechezkel there's 72 letters, because Yechezkel also had a vision of which Shem, Rabbi say, remember this. When Yechezkel in his first pasuk has 72 letters, which Shem of Hashem did Yechezkel see? Only Va'ani. Va'ani b'soich hagoyla. Yirmiyah saw V'hai V'hu Bezikim, right? But Yechezkel was Va'ani. And then the Imrei Shefer says each one name of Hashem accomplishes different things. The Va'ani engenders Hashem's love. V'hai engenders that Hashem should ingather our exiles. That is why when Hillel would daven at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, Hillel was B'zman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayam. There were no Jews in exile. He didn't have to use V'hai. That's why Hillel davened, Im Ani Kan, Hakol Kan. He was referring to the Shem of Ani. But Bizman Hazeh, that we're in Golos, we say Ani, Ribbon Shalom, that engenders Ribbon Shalom's love. V'hai causes Ribbon Shalom to be Mekabetz Nidchei Amo Yisra. So we have 2 systems. One system is the logical system, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. But the system of Rashi and the system of most Rishonim is called Yosher, Hipuch, Yosher. Straight, backward, straight. And the Roikeach, Rabbi Lezer Migar Maiza, he asks, why is the middle pasuk backwards? Lama hipuch ha'emtzai. Why is the middle pasuk backwards? And he gives an answer which is beyond the scope of this year and beyond the scope of my limited mind. If you want to figure out what the Roikeach is saying, take a look, number 29. You could think about it tonight. You could think about it tomorrow night. You could think about it Shabbos. You could think about it for the rest of your life. I'll read to you the words. Kishetachshoiv achar havoyas Hashem kama ribuois hayakoidam kol yoytze mir hir hoyrach v'tachshoiv hu hava ba'olam b'yichudai. Okay, and that's just the beginning of his answer. So what's the pshat? Is there a simple explanation in trying to understand the meaning of the formula of Rashi? Yosher, Hipuch, Yosher. Where did Rashi get this from? The Zohar HaKadosh in this week's Parsha mentions that there are 3 psukim. The first pasuk is forward. The forward pasuk represents chesed. The second pasuk is backward, lemafreya, which is gevurais. And the third pasuk somehow combines the 2. Interesting. Before seeing anything further, I may have suggested that, look, Kriyas Yamsuf had a dual role. It was chesed to Klal Yisrael. It was kindness to the Jewish people to save us from Mitzrayim. And it was also Midas Hadin on the Mitzrayim. We basically we destroyed the Mitzrayim. So you needed the forward, you needed the chesed, and you needed the backward, you needed gevurais, you needed dinim. But it doesn't explain fully. The third pasuk is back to chesed. So the Zohar continues. And the Zohar says the following. All the miracles of Mitzrayim needed this chus avos. It's well known, without explaining exactly. Avram Avinu was Midas HaChesed. Midas HaChesed is always the tzad yamin, the right side. That's why when you use the left hand and you pour on the right side, you're miskaber dinim, you're miskaber chesed over gvura. Chesed is the right side, tzad yamin. Yitzchak Avinu is Midas Hadin, Midas Gvura. It's the left side. Yaakov Avinu is the confluence, the fusion of Chesed and Gvuras. Yaakov is what we call Tiferes. He's Mamtik the Dinim. He's able to bring over Dinim to the Tzad of Chesed. So, what in the world are you talking about? There's a pasuk in the Shira. Yemincha Hashem nedari b'koyach, Yemincha Hashem tirat zayev. Hopefully it should be familiar. Right? Now, when you come to shul in the morning, the most important thing you do is start Shemona Esrei with the tzibur. Yeah, I'm a good Jew, I daven with a minyan. You daven with a minyan? Do you start Shemona Esrei with the tzibur? That's the definition of davening with a minyan. Otherwise, you just came to shul, you didn't daven with a minyan. The definition of davening with a minyan is, but I come late, so you have to skip part of Psukei de Zimra to make sure that you daven with a minyan. The thing is not good to skip Psukei de Zimra, so that's why you have to come on time. So the thing is, in order to say Az Yashir, you have to come on time. Az Yashir is very important. Az Yashir, Kol Ha'omer, Shira, B'simcha, Moichlin Lo Kol Ha'avaynoisa. In Az Yashir you have a pasuk. Yemincha Hashem Nedari B'koyach, Yemincha Hashem Tirat Zayev. You like how I got that in, right? Yemincha Hashem Nedari B'koyach, Yemincha Hashem Tirat Zayev. Yemincha Hashem, two right hands. I know people have two left hands, but two right hands. Yemincha. So Rashi says on the Shira, look at number 32. Rashi says, Shnei pa'amim, kishe Yisrael oisin ritzoinoi shel makoim, hasmoil nasis yamin. When Klal Yisrael does the will of God, then even Hashem's Midas Hadin turns into Midas HaChesed. Then even the left hand becomes a right hand, and Hashem has two right hands. By the way, the Mechilta that Rashi is quoting from in number 33 says the opposite. When we don't do the will of Hashem, then the right hand becomes a left hand, like the pasuk says in Eicha, Heishiv achar yaminai. So sometimes Yibon Hashem unfortunately could have two left hands, two hands of dinim, and at the time of the Shira, Yibon Hashem had two right hands. Had Yemincha Hashem nedari b'koyach. One right hand was girded, was adorned with strength. And Yemincha Hashem tirat zayev. Even when he's destroying the enemy, it's still Yemincha, it's still Midas HaChesed. How is that accomplished? Apparently, it was the Midah of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu had the ability. You see, Avram Avinu is Midas HaChesed, Chesed to Klal Yisrael. Yitzchak Avinu is Midas Hadin. But never shall the twain meet. Never shall the two come together. That is why, amazingly, if you look in the first pasuk of the 72, you have the Malach HaElokim. What's Malach HaElokim? Midas Hadin. Vayisa, the Midas Hadin went away. Why? This is Avram Avinu, Midas HaChesed. Comes the next pasuk. Vayofay vein machanei Mitzrayim, vayi onon v'choshech. That's Yitzchak Avinu, that's Midas Hadin, darkness. But v'loy kar avzel zeh kol alad, they could never get together. Midas HaChesed could never get together, Midas Hadin. Comes the third pasuk. Vayed Moshe, now Moshe lifts up his hand. In his hand is a stick. The stick had the 72 names of Hashem. The koyach of Yaakov Avinu is that when Klal Yisrael's oisin ritzonir shel makoim, you have the midah of Tiferes, where even Midas Hadin says it's a chesed to punish the Mitzrayim. How would it be a chesed to punish the Mitzrayim? It's a chesed to punish the Mitzrayim. For the benefit of mankind, you cannot have Mitzrayim, you can have people on such a low level. It's a kindness to mankind, it's a kindness to the world to show mishpat, to show judgment. That's the third pasuk. The third pasuk takes the Midas Hadin, brings it back to the right. The first formula is Yosher, straightforward, Avram Avinu. The second pasuk is Hippach, Yitzchak Avinu, left to right. Comes Yaakov Avinu, and he makes Kriyas Yamsov. How? He brings the left hand over to the right hand. Yemincha Hashem nedori v'koyach, Yemincha Hashem teratzoyev. If you look in the Sefer Seder Hayom, number 34, it was written by Rav Moshe Mas. Rav Moshe Mas was a student of the Arizal. In fact, he wrote a tefillah that every Jew says every single day. Moideh ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shechazarta bi nishmasi bechemla. Pause, comma. Rabba emunasecha. Not bechemla Rabba, like all the Uncle Moshe. But not. Bechemla, comma, pause. Rabba emunasecha. By the way, Shom Zalman Auerbach says, a woman does not say Moideh ani. Say what? She says Moida ani. Moida ani. Moida is Lashon Nekeva. Moida is for Zacha. Moida ani lefanech. So the Rav Moshe Mas writes Seder Hayom that if you look in Kriya Shema, in the Parsha of Hayom Shemaya, you have 72 letters from the Hayom Shemaya until V'samtem. Why? The Shem Ayin Beis, by the way, Chesed is also 72. The Kayach of the 72 letter name of Hashem is it's able to bring the Tzad Smile to the Tzad Yamin. Lichlal Hayamin Im HaSmile. By the way, Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver, in his commentary to Masechet Avodah Zarah Daf Daled, he also says that in order for there to be Kriyas Yamsuf, you needed Chesed to be maskim to the din. That's why the 72 letter name of Hashem, straight, backward, straight. By the way, Rabbeinu Bechaye, in this week's Parsha, he says the same thing. He says on the fourth line, V'yesh l'cha, number 36, Lahaskel. Ki ha'oisiyos harishonos min ha'pasuk harishoin. And the last one, from the second and the first to the third, are, he says, Vayisa is midas ha'chesed, Vayava is midas ha'gvura, Vayet is midas ha'tiferes. As well, Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver also mentions this very clearly. Look at number 38 in his drasha, Siach Yitzchak, for Shabbos, Parshas Beshalach. In these three psukim, Vayisa, Vayava, Vayet, you have 72 different names of Hashem. Yosher, Hippach, Yosher. Why? When the letters are in order, that's Midas HaChesed. When they're out of order, it's Midas Hadin. But comes Yaakov Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu is able to be mechaber Midas Hadin to Midas HaChesed. He's able to bring the tzad smile, the smile of Hashem, to Yemin Hashem Nadori B'Koyach, Yemin Hashem Teratzoyev. Rav David Kohn, Rosh Yeshiva of Chevron, he understands, the way he puts it together, the way he understands it, is again, Pasuk Yotes, Keneged Avram Avinu, is the Malach Elokim. By the way, the Mechilta asks, what do you mean Malach Elokim? Nowhere in the whole Torah does it ever say Malach Elokim. It says Malach Yud Kei Vav Kei every time. Malach Hashem, Malach Hashem, Malach Hashem. Why Malach Elokim over here? It's because really, I need 2 new batteries. We're low. It's in there. Really, Klal Yisrael was being nidain at that time. Really, Klal Yisrael was being judged at that time. But Hashem allowed the midah of Avraham Avinu to prevail and to overpower Midas Hadin, and that's why it's the Malach Elokim went away. The Malach Elokim, Vayisa Malach Elokim, the Malach Elokim went away. That's the midah of Chesed, Pasuk Yotes. Pasuk Chaf is Keneged Yitzchak Avinu, the Choshech, the Anon, and until Yaakov Avinu comes along, it's V'loi Kara, Zeh, El Zeh, Kol Halayla. And then the midah of Yaakov Avinu is able to fuse and to bring back the Tzad Smile to the Tzad Yamin. So maybe we could suggest the following. Ra Shivcha Alayam, Ma Shaloi Ra Yechezkel Ben Buzi. Rabbi Isai, why are we picking on Yechezkel Ben Buzi? I mean, in what way was the vision of the Shivcha clearer than Yechezkel Ben Buzi? I want to say an amazing thing. Yechezkel ben Buzi only saw and recognized one of the Shemais. Which one? Va'ani. Right? Yechezkel in his first pasuk, Parak Aleph, pasuk Aleph. 72 letters. Va'ani b'soich hagoli, so Va'ani. But we just learned that Kriyas Yamsuf was with both Shemais, Ani and Vahai, all 72. But where is it clear that Kriyas Yamsuf was with Ani and Vahai? Comes Rabbeinu Bechaye, and he says an amazing thing. How do I know that the vision of the Shivcha was so clear? Because they said, Zeh keli ve'anvehu. What does the word ve'anvehu mean? Rashi says, ve'anvehu. Heve doim eloi, bri like Hashem. Rashi says, ve'anvehu is a compound word. Ve'anvehu, ani vehu. The word anvehu means ani vehu. Mahu rachum afato rachum, mahu chanun atato chanun. Says Rabbeinu Bechaye that the word ve'anvehu is a remez to both chief shemos of Hashem. Ani and vehu. Ve'anvehu. It's a remez to the fact that the Ribono Shel Olam was revealing himself at this time in full glory. All elements, all aspects, all facets of all 72 names are being revealed. The Ribono Shel Olam is saying to Klal Yisrael, Ve'anvehu, just like Yechezkel saw, Ani b'soich hagoyla, I'm in Golus with you. Just like Yirmiyah saw, V'hu asar bezikim, I'm demonstrating to you my midos. What are the midos of Hashem? Midos of Hashem is Imay Anochi B'tzara. That the Ribono Shel Olam was with us in Mitzrayim. That Ribono Shel Olam told Yaakov, Anochi Ered Imcha Mitzrayim, I'm going to go down to you with Mitzrayim. So maybe we could say like this. Ra Shivcha Alayam Ashalei Ra Yechezkel ben Buzi. The Shivcha Alayam saw both Shemos of Hashem. They said V'anvehu. She saw Va'ani and she saw V'hai. She recognized both Shemos of Yechezkel ben Buzi. Va'ani v'soich hagoyla. He only saw one. Why are we picking on Yechezkel? Because Yechezkel was the Navi who recognized. He recognized Va'ani. But even he did not reach the Madrega of the Shivcha Alayam, who is Va'anvehu Ani V'hai. And where did she get it from? She got it from Rivka Imenu. Va'tered ha'ayna va'timale, where Rivka Imenu utilized the Shemos of Hashem to control Mayim. So we hope that by our small understanding of some of the soidos of the Shemos of Hashem, Ribono Shel Olam should be Mekayim in us. Asagevehu ki yada shemi yikraeni ve'aneu. Ribono Shel Olam should elevate all of us. Ribono Shel Olam should be Mekabel all of our tefillos. Barachamim u'baratzayin shkoyach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.